Hi, my name's Janet Glynn. We're here today to go over the 2021 Basic Marches Sampler here at Close to Home in Southington. Today's block, or Marches block, is made up of several different types of units. We have a half square triangles in the corners. We have a flying geese on the north, south, east, and west side of our block. And of course in the center is just our plain 6-inch square. Okay, the only special cutting that you're going to need to know is for the multi, because you're going to need two separate pieces, one for the half square triangles and one for the flying geese. So when you get your kit, you're going to cut a 3.5 inch by approximately 10-inch strip. That'll be for the half square triangle. And then from the remainder, which is going to be a little bit longer than it is wide, you're going to cut a 7.5 inch square, and that's going to be for the flying geese. So we're going to go over half square triangles using the corner clipper, the same ruler we used in February, and we will go over a new ruler for this year for basic. It's the Eleanor Burns small flying geese ruler. Okay, it's probably a refresher for a lot of people who have taken my block before, but if you're new to basic or new to block of the month, we're going to go through that. All right, so the first thing we want to do is the half square triangle, and we're going to take our fabrics. I have starched my kits very well with the Best Press, and I like Mary Ellen's comes unscented in a lot of different scents, but every time you get your kit you should pre-starch them and then cut your shapes. It really does firm up your pieces of fabric and helps eliminate a lot of stretching as far as half square triangles go. So we're going to take our 3.5 inch strips, both the multi and the white that are in the cutting instructions, and we're going to put them right sides together. So the white is a little bit harder to follow, but this is the right side of my white. You'll see that the paint or the color is on top of this fabric and not on the back. All right, so we got right sides together. We're going to go ahead and use the exact same ruler that we used last month. It's called the folded corner clipper, and this makes half square triangles in every size shown on the ruler, right down to a 5-inch. So the tip of the folded corner clipper goes at the top of my 3.5, and the 3.5 mark on the ruler goes along the bottom. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we will make our triangle. So this kind of mirrors what Thangles does. It makes it a little bit wider than it does tall. So you'll notice one of my dog ears is already cut off. So we're just going to take this half square triangle to the sewing machine. We're going to start sewing at the very corner at 1/4 inch all the way down. So again, right here at the corner all the way down. Next one, when we can cut 4 at a time, we're going to place the flat end of our ruler at the bottom of our strip and the 3.5 mark along the top of our strip. Then we'll go ahead and cut another half square triangle. Okay, so we need 4 in total. So you can get all these cut and then get them sewn. And what we're going to do is actually what's going to help so the seams don't get too bulky and they actually lock for us is we're going to press the half square triangles to the white. It's tempting to press them toward the multi or the darker side, but for this block in particular, because the way the flying geese are pressed, we're going to press these to the white. So that's it. We're going to cut these up and we're going to sew all of them and press them to the white, and there's our half square triangles. All right, so the next thing I want to go over is the flying geese. This is the flying geese ruler. Oh, hold on so you can see it better. The flying geese ruler consists of two different sizes. This Eleanor Burns, a flying geese quilt in a day ruler, is a small flying geese. It makes flying geese 3x6 finished, and also if you see the one on the end, it also makes it a 1.5 by 3. So we've used this in different blocks in the past, but again, it's the small flying geese ruler. And today, we're going to make flying geese that are finished 3x6. So it's the entire size of the ruler. So to get 4 flying geese, we need to start with 2 squares. The largest square for the 3x6 is going to be a 9-inch square, and that's our red piece. And our red are the wings. So the biggest piece is going to be red, and that's a 9-inch. The small piece are the bodies. Correct. The small piece are the bodies, the inside piece. And that's our multi this month, and those are going to be cut at 7.5. So I have a 9 and a 7.5. So let's get started. I like to write them on my ruler because sometimes I misplace my directions and I can't remember exactly what size squares to start with. So 9 at the bottom, 7.5 on top. I'm going to put them right sides together, and I'm going to draw a line that goes through this corner, and this corner and that corner. Well, my ruler's not quite long enough, but as you can see, I'm actually using my 45 degree, so I know I'm getting a nice straight line that's going to go from corner to corner. So I have my friction pen, and I'm just going to mark the back of my multi, or the back of my 7.5, right through those intersections. All right. Second thing we need to do is sew 1/4 inch from the line on either side. Now we don't have to go all the way out the red. We can stop as soon as our fabric ends. As soon as our 7.5 multi-floral stops, we can stop and then come back down the other side. So let me go ahead and do that. Make sure you have your 1/4 inch foot on. It doesn't really matter. I have a 1/4 inch on either side of my foot, so it doesn't matter. But if you have a 1/4 inch foot with a guide, you're going to want to sew on the left side with your guide, following the line. So you get your 1/4 inch. All right. You can put pins in it. Just hold it nice and flat so it doesn't push. Or pucker, just hold on to it. And again, you can put some pins in it, and we're going to stop when the two fabrics stop together. All right, and we'll come back down the other side. So just spin it around. Line up the edge of your foot with the line and continue. So step 2 is sewing 1/4 inch from either side of the line. Perfect. All right. Next thing we want to do, step 3, is to cut our pieces apart, and we're going to cut on the same line we just drew with our friction pen. All right. So let me get out my ruler. I'm going to line it up with the same line I had. I might have to move my ruler. It's not quite long enough. That's okay. I'm going to line that up and cut. That's enough. And what we're going to do is we're going to press these, but we're going to press toward the red. So when we press this seam toward the red, this is really important to make sure you press in the right direction. These little ends over here are going to curl up, and they're going to get pressed at 1/4 inch also. So let me go ahead, go over to the machine and press. Everything gets pressed that way. So here it is, and we're gonna, if we're pressing toward the red is on top, and I'm gonna give it a nice press and get those little corners to kind of tuck right in. Okay. Sorry, my iron's not quite hot enough. You want to press it from the other side? That's fine. Make sure that everything is pressed toward the red, nice and hot. So I'm going to have to do both of these. So red on top. Just big little. There we go. And press in the middle, press over to the ends. And just hold your iron on there and give it a nice hot press. Okay. Again, everything is pressed to the red. Okay. The next step is to take our two pieces. You can see we have a square, even though there's more red triangle than there is a white triangle. This is basically a square that we just made. So we're going to put them right sides together with the white corner on the red and the red corner on the multi, or the white. So we're going to match up our square just like that. So this corner's opposite and this corner is opposite. All right, and if we had to look here, we'll notice that our seam is about an inch or so apart from each other, our two seams, and that's the way it should be. Don't lock your seams. Keep them separated like this and just meet up your corners. All right, once you have your square, we're going to make one more line, and again, sew 1/4 inch from either side. So place my rule, and this is all going to get trimmed, so if it's not perfect in the corners, relax, we're okay. Maybe I should have used a darker pen on that red. And again, we're going to take this over to the sewing machine and give that a press. So this time we need to start sewing off the fabric all the way down. When you get to this seam, this is easy because the seam is going towards you. But don't forget, this one is going toward the needle. So we don't want to flip our seam under here. It's pretty important that we keep that nice and flat. So let's go. And when we get to it, we'll make sure it doesn't flip. So now I'm at that part and I know it's nice and flat. I can feel it. It's not flipped. And I'm going to continue following my friction pen and sew 1/4 inch from either side, and again on this side. So right off and then right back on again. So I just flipped it around. No need to cut my threads. Just keep going. Okay. Again, make sure that one beneath is pressed in this direction. This one we don't want to flip, so we'll keep that nice and flat as we go across it, and then we'll continue to finish. All right, so guess what? We're going to cut one more time on the line and separate these two. And I'll put my ruler right back on the line I drew. And go ahead and cut those apart. So before we press these, where's my scissors? Right here. The one thing we need to do is, because we want all of our whites to go in this direction, like our seam allowance to get pressed toward the red, press toward the red, press toward the red. But what happens if I press this one toward the red and this one? I get this little twist in between these two seams. So what we're going to do is just trim that seam right in the seam allowance, right between them. Give it a little snip right there. Okay, so now I can press in that direction and press flat in that direction. So I hold it, again, pressing toward the red in this particular case, which are the wings. And press in the red. All right, and we're going to do that to both of them, but I'll just do it for the one so I can show you. And we're going to wind up with 2 units that look like that. The next thing we want to do is get out our flying geese ruler, and we're going to look at these lines. We're going to look at these. This green line is going to match up on the seam allowance between our body and our wing of our unit. So let's take this and line up those green lines. It's hard to see, so I just wanted to show you. Here's my green line. I'm just going to place that right in the seam allowance between the 2 units, and we're going to trim all 4 sides. Okay, so hold it nice and tight. This is not a creative grid ruler. It doesn't have grips on it. So the first thing I want to do is cut that in half. Get the second one. Well, I'm going to reach around, but you don't have to. You can move your body, go to the other side of the cutting table. I've done all 3 sides. Now I have this one last side to do. So I'm going to turn my ruler around. Oops, this way, sorry. Place my ruler back in. Make sure that this green line comes right down to the intersection of where the multi and the red are. And I'll trim this one last one. Okay.
Janet, is there something we can use so that our ruler isn't slippery?
Yes, Heidi. You can put on the back of this, it's called Omni Grip, and it comes in a roll. It's like highfalutin plastic wrap, basically, and you lay it out. You can put your ruler right on it and trim it around, and it's like a cling wrap. It's a cling that sits at the bottom of your ruler and keeps it from slipping. Good idea, Heidi. Thank you. So that's that one. You're going to get 2. Remember I said how you're going to get 4 out of all of these, and we'll just do it again. Place it right in that. Place it right here and trim around all 4 sides. So this is a finished 3x6. So this unit right now, unfinished, will measure 3.5 by 6.5. But you don't have to worry about that. The ruler does everything for you. So I've cut my center. I have my flying geese. I have my half square triangles. Next thing you want to do is just finish your 9 patch. You're sewing your half square triangles to the flying geese and creating a row. These flying geese to your center to the flying geese. That's your 2nd row, and again your 3rd row, and then sewing them together. Okay, make sure that you press these. I wonder if I have it how I pressed. Let's look at the back, shall we? Real quick. I think I flipped one seam, so ignore that one. But these I pressed toward the flying, in the direction of the flying geese, toward the middle, and then these I pressed outwards. Okay, so these go out, these go in, these go out, and I flipped one here, so don't look at that. So let's just say when to pick up our kit. March kits are available on Saturday, March 20th, and make sure that you have your completed February block to show. Last day to pick up your March block and not have to pay, of course, is Friday, April 16th, the day before I introduce April's block. Okay. Again, supplies needed for this kit are the small flying geese ruler, the 12-inch square, because it really helps cut that 9-inch square. A lot of our rulers may be small smaller than 9-inch, and we have to put them next to each other, but the 12.5 is the perfect size to have. So small flying geese ruler, the 12-inch Creative Grid ruler, a friction pen, best press, and the corner clipper that we used last month. Also, block boxes. If you're just starting this year and already you have directions and scraps of blocks and things like that, you might want to consider getting a block box, because this can house all year, all your directions, even some of the rulers that you've been using throughout the year, okay? And even the 12-inch ruler would fit in here. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in April. Bye now.